Alrighty, let's get started. Y'all, this workout was so fun for me, and I'm really hoping that y'all enjoy it as well. We're going to start off with squats into lunges. I chose a lighter weight because this is a circuit, so we're doing 1 minute of exercise and then 1 minute of rest. So we're not going to keep track of reps, but we are going to make sure our form stays right and proper the whole time. So we're not moving as fast as we can, we're moving effectively. Immediately after our 1 minute rest period, we're going to go into renegade rows, and these are a really good exercise for stabilization and for core strength and for upper body strength. And here we're going to take a wide stance. We're going to try to limit as much movement as possible as far as like rotating to either side as we're lifting the weight. We also want to make sure that our hips are more or less level with our torso, so we don't want our hips to drop too low or be piked up too high. And speaking of pikes, this next exercise is a pike for your abs. This exercise is so effective at targeting your core because you're crunching those muscles together. And if you don't have access to TRX straps, we can also do this with a yoga ball. Your feet are just gonna be on top of the yoga ball. And you wanna think about engaging those deep core muscles before you go into the pike and making sure that we're not pushing our abs outward, we're not pushing our core outward as we perform this move. Next, we're doing some walking split squats. These ones are really fun and challenging at the same time. We're gonna take 1 step forward, squat, next leg, 1 step forward, squat, and then we're gonna repeat the same thing but walk backwards. And you can decide how many steps you want to take forward and how many steps you want to take backwards on this exercise. And back to upper body, we're going to do some overhead press with dumbbells. Again, I kept the weight relatively lighter on this one because doing this for a minute, your muscles will start to get fatigued, especially if you have a heavier weight. Key things to keep in mind for this exercise is making sure your core is braced so that we're not leaning back and arching our lower back, and keeping the elbows slightly angled inward just to put the shoulders in a better position to be targeted versus having your elbows out straight to the side. And back to abs, we're going to do some bicycle crunches. We're going to make sure that as our elbow reaches our opposite knee, we're going to hold that position for at least a second before switching to the other side, so that we're not just flailing our body around going as fast as possible. We want to hold that contraction for at least a second, and we want to make sure that our upper back is coming off the mat to meet our knee by really using our core to lift us up. And last thing is, don't pull on your neck as you're doing this exercise. Your hands are behind your head, but you're not pulling on your neck. You're using your core to lift your body. Back to lower body, we're going to do some RDLs so we can hit the hamstrings. For this exercise, you are lowering the weight by pushing your hips back and not just thinking of bending your upper body forward. And we're only going to lower as far as we need to until we feel a really good stretch in the hamstrings before coming back up. And we're going to make sure that we keep our lats engaged and our back flat, so we're not folding forward at the bottom, but instead staying in a strong posture. Moving on to upper body, we're going to do some push-ups. Here I'm performing regular plank push-ups until I fatigue out, and then I'll immediately drop down to my knees and continue to rep it out for the remainder of that minute. But the key thing to remember is that once you drop down to your knees, your upper body, everything about your upper body is still staying in a fixed position. You're still keeping your core tight. Everything is still going to be proper form regardless of if you're on your knees or not. And finally, to wrap up this workout, we're going to go back to training our core. For this one, we're going to do high knees. This exercise leaves my core so lit up, especially the bottom portion of my core. And that wraps up today's video. Remember, we're doing each exercise for 1 minute, and then we're resting for 1 minute before moving on to that next exercise. No repeating unless you want to. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoy your workout, and I will see you in the next one.